2012 Chevy Cruze, bad alternator. Customer got one from AutoZone. I already removed the air box. We got to get this motor mount assembly off. We can get the belt off, remove the tensioner. Then we can remove and replace the alternator. And of course, I got the driveway toolbox here with me. I'll bring you guys back once I get this motor mount assembly off. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3 bolts there and 2 bolts here and a nut here. Remove that. Then we can get the belt off and then see what it takes to get the tensioner off. I'll bring you guys back. So before you unbolt this motor mount assembly, you want to put a jack up under the engine with a piece of wood up under the oil pan. Jack it up slightly to take the weight off the motor mount. Loosen up the 3 long bolts that goes into the engine. You can't pull them out because they're too long, so you're gonna have to leave them there. Take the nut off here, the other 2 bolts off there, and set them to the side. And you can grab this here, and let's see how we can work it out. There we go. Bring it up like that. And just wiggle it, and the whole assembly comes up. We'll sit that on the ground here, get it out the way. Now we can get this tensioner pulled back to get the belt off, because we have to remove it because of that bolt right there, that E-Torx bolt. It's at the bottom of the alternator. It's one of the mounting bolts. We got to get that pulled off. So let's get the Torx bits, the E-Torx bits out. Okay, so what we have there, it's going to be a E14 bit. That's for the tensioner, and look like it's the same for the alternators. So we'll get this off and I'll get you a look at it and then we'll go from there. Bring you back. So now we got the belt removed. We have a bolt here, tensioner mounting bolt here, and we have one there on the back side of the spring. We'll get those 2 removed out and get this out the way, and we should be able to get the alternator out. So we'll bring you back again. So now we got the tensioner unbolted. It's another long bolt. Why, I don't know. Get the bottom one here coming out, and I just dropped it. I can see it down there, so I ain't worried about it. It hit the ground. Get the tensioner pulled out the way. Set that off to the side. Now we got 1, 2 mounting bolts, and on the back side of the alternator we're going to have a harness to disconnect and 12-volt positive wire back there to unbolt. We'll get to that once we get the alternator hanging out the way. First, let me see if I can figure out how to disconnect this harness. Back here somewhere. Let's turn the light on and see if we can get a good view of it back there. Okay, so I couldn't figure out how to disconnect that electrical connector back there. So I went ahead and unbolted the alternator. And we're gonna get it turned around so we can get a better look at it. And see if we can figure it out. If I can get it turned around. There we go. So let's see what we look like here. There's the hot wire. Let's see what we look like. What happened there? Okay, I lost you for a second. So I see it now. I don't know how I didn't feel it, but like you just squeeze there and pull it off. It's perfect. Now we'll get this hot wire disconnected and get the other alternator put back in. Look like this is going to be a 12mm head there, so I'm gonna get out my metric wrenches and get that out. Look like he had some kind of melting issue or something here, but let's get it out. Get the other one put in. I knew something was wrong there when I saw that nut. It wouldn't come, so I had to make it. That calls for breaking it. Looked like it got real hot or something there. That's the old. Let's compare it with the new one. Looking short. You never know with these part stores. Give you wrong parts all the time. So this looks good. And I knew it was going to be a different. To take the old one off, I needed a 13mm. I grabbed the 12 thinking that's what it was. Just like the starter I had the other day. The newer one had a smaller head on it. But we'll get this put back in, and then we'll go get a look at how to get that tensioner put back on. But that's what it looks like without an alternator. Just a big old hole. To be continued. So to give you guys a piece of advice when you're dealing with alternators like this, before you put them back in, always take these spacers. I don't know exactly what they call, but they come out when you get them. They're like this, and I always take them and knock them in until they're like that. That way, when you're trying to put it in, you ain't fighting it. It's enough space there. And when you tighten it up, of course, it's going to pull that in. The bolt's going to pull that in and make it nice and tight. But before you put it in, I always take them and hit them from this point. Knock them all the way in like that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that with this one and get back to the install. See what I was telling you about knocking these bushings or whatever they called in is because this thing here fits over this like that, and you only have so much space from here to there. And if this is already out, you're fighting it because it's a real tight fit. You're fighting it trying to get it on there, but since I knocked it back already, opened it up, it fits right over it with no problem. Okay? I don't have to fight it now. And the same goes for the top. It'll just fit right over it without any problems. So let me get this bolted back up, and then we'll bring you back along. Just a tip I like to share. I got the alternator bolted in, and I'm going to show you what I was talking about with that bushing spacer or whatever it was called. Remember, I knocked it in. Hey, look, I pulled it out. As I tighten it up, it pulled it out against that. If that joker was out already, you have hell trying to get it in there, trying to get it to fit. It's all torqued down to what I call stop when it's tight enough. Now we're going to figure out how this tensioner is going to go on, because I've been hearing quite a bit of things about gotta have a spring compressor tool for the tensioner or something like that. I don't know what they're talking about, but I'm about to find out. Remember, I dropped the bottom bolt down here. So there she goes. Get the bottom bolt. I didn't see where that would be any huge problem getting this tensioner put back in, but you never know. So I'm gonna try to position my phone to a point to where I can record while I do it with two hands. While I use two hands putting it in. Let's see if we can position this phone properly. Let me change the angle on this. Okay, look like I might have found a way to hold the phone for me. Wipe the sweat off. Okay, so the tensioner goes in as so. From what I saw, look like if I leave the bolts loose, just get them barely in, I don't know, 3 turns or so. We may be able to finesse this. Yeah, see, I don't know what that all that hype was, but looks like I'm not having a problem with it. Got that started. I guess I can hold the phone now. Let's see. Oh, that's reverse. Oh man. Let's try this again. Yeah, that was all hype, and that's funny. Got that one tight. Got that one tight. And of course, I never torque them down with my. Been recorded, but it was hell getting that belt on. Must be some kind of special tool to help compress that spring, cause it felt like I was about to snap this bolt if I kept putting pressure on it. So I stopped there. I pretty much stuck a screwdriver here, pried the belt on, and turned the hole. So I got the motor mount assembly back in. I got it. The bolts going into the engine. I just don't want to tighten them up yet until I get the bolts up here mounted. And the holes, if you look down in there, I don't know if you can see it down in there. It's not centered up. So I'm gonna take a screwdriver into this one, and I'm gonna drop this bolt into that one, and I'm gonna give it a little pry. See if we can center the holes up. There we go. See it fall? Now I know that's centered up. So I'm gonna get that one started by hand here. Make sure we don't cross thread. I said that word again. Get this other one in. Then we can get the nut on up here. Got the 2 bolts in. Got the nut on. And now we can go to getting everything tightened up. I'll put that there. Put my long extension on it. Put the ratchet on it. Get everything. All right. And then take the extension off. Get it on there. Of course, the engine right into place. Same with the other side. Same with the bottom one. Got that tight. Get rid of the cordless. Good old ratchet on that joker. So we can get some torque down on. Make it tight. Perfect. And of course, you gotta tighten these when up with the ratchet also. That little 12-volt ratchet ain't got enough in it. Get these tight like they should be. And then we tighten up the nut. That's all she wrote. Get this air box put back on. Get a customer a call. Tell them I'm ready for them to come start it up. And we'll get you off to the end. To recap everything, you want to put a jack under the oil pan with a piece of wood on top of the jack between the oil pan so you don't puncture the oil pan or dent it or anything. Jack it up slightly to where the pressure is off the motor mount, I should say. You want to remove this air box assembly. 15mm sockets to remove the motor mount assembly. You need the E-Torx bits. I think it was E14, I think it was, to remove the tensioner, or to depress the tensioner and remove the belt, and then remove the tensioner, and then remove the alternator, and then put everything back together, the reverse of that, and then call your customer and tell them come start it up. And it's what we're about to do now. I'll be back. We got the alternator put in. We're about to start it up and make sure ain't no battery light on, and that'll confirm if everything is done right. I can get paid and I can get out of here. Let's get it started up. All the lights seem to be working. Start it up. Battery light went off, but we do have a check engine light on. You know why the check engine light is on?
Yeah, I think that's for something else. I had, when I went to Advanced Auto, they ran the codes.
They ran the codes for you?
Yeah, it was some coolant stuff.
Oh, it's not causing any problems though, huh?
Yeah, it did. An alternator problem did come up, but it was only because I guess I didn't replace it.
Okay. Okay, so everything's normal here. Everything's working good, and I can get paid and get on my way. See you next time.